mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to Thee, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen.
So I want you to pretend for just a minute that you're in prison. Look at the length of your pew. That's your cell. That's as much space as you get. So you're all in a cell together, each pew. If there's a wall next to you, that's your cell wall. The center of this prison would be the altar, and where we break the bread, which represents breaking the bonds of death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So that would be the center of the cell. The theme of the story from the Acts of the Apostles that we hear today is prison, but it means many different kinds of prison. There's the prison of death, which Christ changed forever by bursting through death and rising from the dead. And last Thursday was Ascension Day. He broke the bonds again and ascended into heaven, and our beautiful mosaic that we have here shows him in the act of ascending. Notice he's already on the throne, but he's not touching the ground, so it means he's ascending. And what this story is about is all the different kinds of prison we can be in. So it's not just the prison with walls. First we have this young woman who we hear is a slave or a servant of this particular couple. And she has the gift of divination, so she can read your fortune, read the tea leaves, tell you what's going to happen to your life. And they're making a lot of money off of her, so she must be pretty good at what she does. And what happens is that she's very annoying to Paul, really annoying. So she's shouting at the top of her voice. What is it she says here? These men are slaves of the Most High God, who proclaim to you a way of salvation. And then she says it again and again. And she follows them like a little, horsefly. And you can understand why Paul would say, stop it already, and tells the demon to be gone. And there's a healing. And instead of everybody rejoicing that this woman is sane now and has been set free, where does the story take you? To the pocketbook, to money. She was worth a lot of money to these owners, and now that she's been healed and there's no spirit in her anymore of whatever this was, the spirit of divination, she can't make them money. So they object to this. They drag Paul and Silas to the magistrates in the middle of the center of the city. And this city is familiar to all of us who read scripture. The letter to the Philippians, you all heard of that one? This is Philippi. This is where the letter of the Philippians was written. And when Paul writes the letter to the Philippians, it's a very unusual letter because he doesn't lecture them at all. He's just saying how wonderful they get the gospel. He says, I'm full of joy at how you worship. I'm full of joy how you heard the Spirit and how you're sending people out in your name. So he's thrilled with these people, and Paul doesn't get thrilled with people very often. So that's a unique book in our scripture. And this village of Philippi, or municipality, has already been visited by him. He went last week to the home of Lydia, and all of her family was baptized. And now today there's another family being baptized. So, back to prison, where the magistrates, first of all, say, take off their clothes. So they're both naked. Who does that remind you of? Jesus. They have him flogged with a rod. Who does that remind you of? Jesus. And then they have him thrown into prison, in the deepest part of the prison. And the jailer is told, do not let them escape. Because there's been 2 other escapes from prison in this book so far. This is the 3rd escape from prison we have. So they're beginning to get savvy. Do not let him escape. You're in control. So what is the thing that's unusual about what they're doing in prison? Paul and Silas are there in the deepest part of the prison. They're locked up, they're beaten, they're naked, and what are they doing? Singing! They're singing! They are singing and praying. So why do you suppose this is? This is all about when we take Christ into ourselves, we take everything, including the suffering, including the flogging, the crucifying, They are rejoicing that they were beaten because they are spreading the gospel. You can expect to get beaten. They are rejoicing that they're locked up in prison. It's not their first time. God will take care of them. They don't know that they're going to get sprung, but they know something good will happen. So what would they be singing and praying? Anybody have a guess? They don't have the Book of Common Prayer. They do not have a hymnal. The Psalms. They're singing the Psalms or other songs that are in our Bible. In the book of Exodus, Miriam has the first psalm. It's the first one, the oldest psalm in the Bible. And it's written like a psalm. So they're singing songs and they are trying to teach the gospel to the other prisoners. So that's all of you. So you can think of Paul and Silas right here, standing there praying, singing psalms, and testifying to the wonders of the Lord. And you're drawn to them. And you feel a change happening. And the ground is shifting underneath you before the earthquake starts. Because at the stroke of midnight, boom, the room starts moving. The windows are cracking. The whole church is becoming liquid. The prison is becoming liquid. And pop, all the doors open. And the jailer sees that the doors are open and he panics, gets out his sword and is ready to fall on his sword. That's literally what the words say. When Paul sees him and says, "Don't kill yourself. Look, nobody left. The doors are flung open and every single one of you didn't leave your cell. You're all still in prison." And Paul and Silas are up here. They're safe. But the jailer himself is the one who has the biggest conversion. So he's the most unlikely candidate of all. But he falls on the ground. He worships Paul and Silas, and they say, don't worship us. But then he becomes the Good Samaritan to them. He doctors their wounds and cleanses them, takes them to his home, where their whole household is baptized. So you that are here for Nora Jean, you're the household that you bring the Paul and Silas back to your house, and the entire household is baptized with them, with the jailer. So the story is about the power of Christ, what happens to prisons. But the most important thing is what happens to people when the power of Christ takes over. That they're not afraid of death or jail or being beaten up with rods or even having their hymnals taken away from them. Perish the thought. They can sing without that. They can praise without that because they have the basis. If they're baptized, they've got all